You might be shocked to discover that 5 common exercises, many of which you probably do every week, may be silently destroying your knees, accelerating joint wear, and stealing your mobility, especially after the age of 60. As a senior health specialist, I am here today to deliver a clear and urgent warning. Stop doing these 5 exercises immediately if you care about protecting your knee health, preserving your independence, and staying active and pain-free for many years to come. And attention, this is not just a personal opinion. This warning is backed by decades of clinical research and practical experience with thousands of seniors who, despite their efforts to stay in shape, don't understand why their knees are failing. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people assume that any kind of exercise is always good. But the reality is that not every exercise is beneficial, especially when we're talking about aging joints. Certain high-impact movements place enormous and unnecessary pressure on the delicate cartilage, tendons, and ligaments inside the knees. Over time, this wear builds up, leading to chronic pain, swelling, stiffness, and even permanent joint damage. But here's the good news. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly which 5 exercises you should stop doing right now. And, more importantly, I'll introduce you to safe, senior-friendly alternatives so you can stay strong, fit, and flexible without putting your knees at risk. Stay with me until the end, because I will also reveal a little-known mistake that more than 80% of seniors make that is silently harming their knees. And you probably don't even realize you're doing it. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the button and activate the bell so you don't miss any health tips made especially for you. And if you want to help other people protect their knees, share this video with your loved ones. Have you ever stopped to think about the vital role your knees play in your daily life? They're not just hinges that let you walk. They are the foundation that supports your freedom. When the knees fail, we're not just talking about pain. We're talking about losing the ability to climb stairs, walk in the park, get up from a chair confidently, play with your grandchildren, or even do simple tasks like going to the grocery store or going out for a walk. The problem is that after the age of 60, the body is already undergoing a natural process of joint wear. The cartilage that protects the bones becomes thinner, lubrication decreases, and the surrounding muscles need to work twice as hard to maintain stability. If, on top of that, you include exercises that place excessive loads or improper movements on the knees, the situation quickly worsens. You might be thinking, but I've been doing these exercises my whole life. Or, I saw these exercises recommended online for young people and thought they could help me. And this is exactly the critical point. What works for a 25-year-old does not necessarily apply to someone over 60. The body changes, the joints change, and the impact of your choices changes too. Studies show that 1 in 4 seniors suffers from chronic knee pain. And many don't even realize that their own exercise habits are contributing to it. It's not just about stopping the pain today. It's about avoiding surgeries, prosthetics, months of physical therapy, and, above all, preserving your autonomy for the future. That's why, in this video, we're going to clearly expose the 5 exercises that most damage seniors' knees. And, more importantly, we're going to show how to replace them with safe practices that strengthen instead of destroy. Because when you protect your knees, you're protecting something much bigger: your freedom to live well. Now that you understand the real impact your knees have on your freedom, it's time to get straight to the point. What are the 5 exercises you should stop doing immediately after age 60? I want you to know that this video is not just a list of prohibitions. It's a guide to help you clearly see what many exercise programs don't explain to seniors. After all, when we see workout recommendations online, in magazines, or even in gyms, They are rarely designed for bodies that have gone through decades of use, wear, and hormonal changes. The exercises we're going to discuss here were selected not because they are bad in themselves, but because they are unsuitable for the reality of the aging body. They place unnecessary pressure on the knees, require ranges of motion that promote injury, or force the joints in ways that are simply unsustainable for those who want to maintain long-term mobility. And here's an important detail. I'm not just going to tell you which exercises to avoid. I'm going to give you practical, safe, and effective alternatives that you can incorporate into your daily life to keep exercising with confidence. Because stopping movement is never the solution. The solution is doing the right movements, the right way, for the phase of life you're in. Get ready, because the list coming up might surprise you. In fact, exercise number 4 is one of the most common among seniors, and I bet you did it this week without imagining the damage it was causing. The first exercise you should stop immediately after age 60 is the deep squat. It is widely recommended in gyms, fitness videos, and group classes because it works the glutes, thighs, front leg muscles, and even the abdomen. At first glance, it seems like a complete, functional, and even necessary exercise. But for anyone over 60, it can easily turn from ally to enemy, and the damage can appear silently, without you noticing. Why is it so dangerous? When you do a deep squat, you bring your knees into maximum flexion, often going past 90 degrees. This creates enormous pressure on the cartilage covering the bones of the joint, especially on the patella, kneecap, and the femur. Studies show that with every extra centimeter you lower, the load on the joints increases significantly. This means that a movement that seems simple might be pressing your knees with a load equivalent to several times your body weight. In a young body, this is usually not a problem because the cartilage is still thick, the ligaments are strong, and the recovery capacity is high. But after the age of 60, the cartilage is naturally thinner, the stabilizing muscles are less active, and the risk of small injuries increases with every repetition. This wear doesn't appear suddenly. It builds up over time. First, you feel slight discomfort. Then, pain when getting up or going downstairs. One day, swelling without explanation. And before you know it, simple activities, like getting up from a chair or walking around the block, become a painful challenge. The impact on the knees is twofold. First, direct pressure on the cartilage, accelerating wear and making the joint vulnerable. Second, the overload on the ligaments around the knee, increasing the risk of small tears or sprains. Additionally, there's the danger of losing balance when going down too low, especially for those already experiencing reduced leg strength. What's the safe alternative? Instead of the deep squat, do the partial squat. Lower yourself only to the point where your thighs are parallel to the floor, keeping your knees aligned with your feet and avoiding letting them go past your toes. This movement already activates the leg muscles effectively without crushing your joints. An important detail: always use a sturdy chair as support behind you. That way, if you lose balance, you'll be safe. Also, prioritize quality over quantity. Do slow, controlled movements, paying attention to body alignment. Studies show that training with full attention can increase muscle activation by up to 30% without needing to overload the knees. And pay attention, we're just getting started. The next exercise on the list is even more surprising. Many people believe it's excellent for the knees, but research shows the exact opposite. Stay with me, because you won't want to miss this revelation that could change your exercise routine forever. The second exercise you should avoid after age 60 is the famous high step-up. That movement where you place one foot on an elevated platform or bench and push your body upward. It's widely used in leg workouts, functional fitness classes, and even home programs because it strengthens thighs, glutes, and calves. But for those over 60, It represents a real danger to the knees. Why is it dangerous? The high step-up demands explosive force from the knee that's placed on top. When you lift your body, you transfer almost all your weight to that leg, compressing the joint and straining the ligaments. The problem is that, after age 60, the stabilizing muscles, especially those on the inner part of the knee, are already weaker. This means the joint becomes more vulnerable to small misalignments, increasing the risk of injury. Another dangerous detail: many people don't realize it, but when stepping onto a high bench, they end up slightly twisting the knee because the hip or ankle isn't properly aligned. This twisting movement, repeated many times, causes microtraumas that build up and can lead to persistent pain, inflammation, and even osteoarthritis. In addition, the height of the bench itself is a risk factor. The higher it is, the greater the range of motion and the more force required to stabilize the movement. Many seniors lose their balance during the step-up or step-down, and just one small stumble can cause serious falls that may lead to hip or knee fractures. What's the safe alternative? Instead of stepping onto high benches, opt for heel raises on the floor. Stand with your hands resting on a chair for safety, and lift your heels, standing on your tiptoes. This movement works the calf muscles, improves balance, and strengthens the legs without overloading the knees. Another option is to take small steps up onto low steps, always holding onto a support. And remember, strengthening the muscles around the knee doesn't require risky movements. With patience and regularity, simple and well-executed exercises can transform your stability and drastically reduce the risk of pain and falls. Get ready, because the next exercise on the list is one of the most common in senior fitness classes, but it hides pitfalls that few people know about. Pay attention, because this next revelation could be decisive in preserving your knees in the long run. The third exercise you should avoid after age 60 is the lunge, also known as the deep step or forward lunge. This movement is very popular in gyms and workout videos because, in theory, it strengthens thighs, glutes, and improves balance. But for those over 60, it can bring more harm than benefit. Why is it dangerous? The lunge involves taking a large step forward, bending the front knee to almost a 90-degree angle while the back knee approaches the floor. This movement places enormous overload on the front knee, which must support almost all the body's weight while stabilizing both the descent and ascent. The problem is that, with advancing age, the stabilizing muscles around the joint, especially the gluteus medius and minimus, as well as the inner thigh muscles, become weaker. This causes the knee to slightly drift inward during execution, creating lateral pressure that wears down the cartilage and overburdens the ligaments. Another major risk is instability. The lunge requires a lot of balance. A slight wobble on the way down can make you lose your footing and fall. And for those who already have some joint wear, a single poorly executed movement can be enough to cause inflammation, intense pain, or even a more serious injury. Additionally, many people end up compensating by leaning their torso forward or shifting their weight onto the back leg, further increasing the risk of overload. In other words, even when the lunge is done correctly, it still presents a high risk for anyone over 60. What's the safe alternative? Instead of lunges, choose strengthening exercises with double support, like the chair rise. Sit in a sturdy chair and slowly stand up, using your leg muscles. This movement simulates the natural action of rising from a seat and works the thighs and glutes, without exposing the knees to dangerous movements. If you want to intensify it, hold light weights in your hands. Remember, the goal is not to test your limits, but to build strength intelligently, without creating opportunities for injury. In the next exercise, we're going to talk about a surprising movement that seems harmless, but, in practice, is one of the biggest causes of chronic knee pain in seniors. Stay with me to find out which one it is. The fourth exercise you should avoid after age 60 is jumping rope. This movement is quite popular among those looking for quick and effective cardiovascular workouts and is often marketed as a practical solution to keep the heart healthy and burn calories. However, for those over 60, jumping rope can be a real trap for the knees. Why is it dangerous? When you jump rope, each jump generates a direct impact that travels from your feet to your knees, up to your hips and spine. This impact, even if it seems light at the moment, is repeated dozens or even hundreds of times in a single workout session. Studies show that in people over 60, the joint's ability to absorb impact decreases considerably, making each landing potentially damaging. Additionally, motor coordination and reaction time naturally decrease with age. This means there's a higher risk of stumbles, missteps, or tripping over the rope itself, which can lead to serious falls, resulting in fractures in the knee, ankle, or hip. Another important detail, over the years, the muscles that stabilize the knee, like the quadriceps and calf muscles, lose strength and endurance. This reduces the ability to protect the joint during high-impact activities like the repetitive jumps of rope skipping. In other words, even if you feel fit, your knees are much more vulnerable than you think. What's the safe alternative? Instead of jumping rope, opt for brisk walks on flat, safe terrain. Walking at a moderate pace not only improves cardiovascular health, but also strengthens the leg muscles, improves circulation, and keeps the joints moving without excessive impact. Another good alternative is the marching-in-place exercise, where you lift your knees alternately while keeping your feet on the ground, a great workout for balance and endurance. Never forget, keeping the body active doesn't mean subjecting it to aggressive movements. You can achieve the same fitness benefits using smart strategies adapted to your stage of life. In the next exercise, we're going to talk about a movement that's extremely common in gym classes and even physical therapy, but that may be silently destroying the health of your knees. You won't want to miss this information. The fifth exercise you should avoid after age 60 is the leg press. That machine found in practically every gym, where you sit and push a platform with your feet, lifting a stack of weights. It's very popular because it promises to quickly strengthen thighs and glutes. However, for anyone over 60, the leg press can be extremely dangerous for the knees. Why is it dangerous? On the leg press, you push a heavy load using mainly your legs, but the movement generates brutal pressure on the knees, especially when you lower the platform too far and bend the leg deeply. This compresses the joint, increases internal pressure, and often forces the ligaments beyond their capacity. An even more concerning detail, many people end up using loads beyond what's necessary to feel the muscles working, but they forget that the knees weren't made to withstand so much pressure at tight angles. With every repetition, even when done slowly, you may be accelerating cartilage wear, increasing the risk of microfractures and inflammation. Additionally, the leg press requires perfect alignment between hips, knees, and ankles. When done with poor posture, or when the feet are positioned too low on the platform, the pressure on the knee multiplies, increasing the risk of pain and injury. For seniors who already show signs of muscle weakening or joint problems, this combination is extremely dangerous. What's the safe alternative? Instead of using the leg press, choose bodyweight strengthening exercises, like the chair rise we already mentioned, or floor bridge exercises, where you lift your hips while keeping your feet on the ground. These movements effectively work the glutes and thighs without crushing the knees under excessive load. Another essential point: always focus on the quality of the movement and conscious muscle activation. Research shows that simply paying attention to muscle contraction can multiply results, even with less weight. Now that you know the 5 exercises you should avoid, let's talk about the healthy alternatives that can keep your knees strong, your muscles active, and, most importantly, your freedom and independence preserved. Get ready to jot down these recommendations in the next segment. Now that you know which exercises to avoid, let's talk about the practices that truly strengthen your knees, protect your joints, and help you maintain the mobility and independence you want to preserve. The first rule is simple. Prioritize low-impact exercises. This means movements that strengthen the muscles around the knee without overloading the joint. A great example is walking at a moderate pace. Walking every day, even for just 20 to 30 minutes, on flat and safe terrain helps activate the leg muscles, improves circulation, and keeps the ligaments and tendons healthy. The secret here isn't speed, but consistency. Another excellent alternative is the chair rise. It simulates the act of sitting and standing, something we do every day, and safely strengthens the thighs and glutes. To perform it correctly, choose a sturdy chair, keep your feet aligned with your knees, and rise and sit slowly, feeling the muscles working. If you feel confident, hold a small weight, like a water bottle, to intensify the exercise. Water exercises are also top choices for protecting the knees. Water aerobics and swimming build strength and endurance with almost no impact, since the water reduces body weight. This is ideal for those who already feel pain or are afraid of getting hurt. Another powerful practice is the floor bridge exercise. Lying on your back with your feet flat on the floor and knees bent, lift your hips, activating the glutes and the backs of the thighs. This movement strengthens the body's posterior chain, essential for stabilizing the knees and preventing pain. Besides the exercises, we can't forget the importance of stretching. After any activity, set aside a few minutes to stretch the front and back of the thighs, the calves, and the hips. Stretching helps maintain flexibility, improves posture, and reduces unnecessary tension on the joints. Lastly, remember, the quality of the movements matters much more than the quantity. Do each exercise mindfully, feeling the muscles, paying attention to alignment, and never forcing beyond what's comfortable. Training with awareness is a true shield against injuries. Taking care of your knees is taking care of your freedom of movement. Incorporating these safe alternatives doesn't mean giving up strength or health. It means choosing the smart path that will keep you active, confident, and independent for years to come. And now, let's close this video with an important reflection on the impact these choices have on your life. Now that you know the 5 exercises to avoid and the safe alternatives that can transform your health, I want to ask you a simple but powerful question. Which path will you choose? Caring for your knees isn't just about avoiding pain. It's a decision about the kind of life you want to have in the coming years. It's choosing to climb stairs without fear, to walk alongside your loved ones, to get up from a chair without effort, and to keep living with autonomy and confidence. Many people believe that aging inevitably means losing mobility, depending on canes, wheelchairs, or undergoing knee surgeries. But I'm here to tell you that this does not have to be your destiny. With conscious choices, with the right exercises, and especially with daily attention to your body, it's possible to build a much stronger, more active, and healthier future. You don't need complicated workouts, expensive gym machines, or miracle diets. What you need is consistency, intention, and a commitment to yourself. Small adjustments to your routine, replacing a dangerous exercise with a safe alternative, walking a little every day, stretching before bed, can generate enormous transformations over time. I also want to emphasize something very important. It's never too late to start. Even if you're already feeling pain, even if you've already lost strength, even if you think it's no use anymore, know that the body has an incredible capacity to adapt and improve at any age. What matters is starting today. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these changes will you apply first in your routine? Write it here in the comments. I read them all and love to know how you're taking care of your health. If this video was useful to you, leave a comment with the number 1. If you didn't like it, comment 0 and tell me how I can improve. Don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who also needs this information, and subscribe to the channel to receive more practical tips for aging with health, strength, and joy. Thank you very much for watching until the end. And remember, the future of your legs, your knees, and your freedom begins with the choices you make today.